Hey, I'm Zach, Johnny's producer on his podcast, Masters of Wealth. Today on the show, Johnny's sitting down with Cory Chapman, an old friend of Johnny's and the founder of EFC Wealth Management out in California. Stick around to hear the guys talk about how business can always be a family affair, how your passion will always be the number one driving factor behind your success, and why when you're looking for inspiration, you may have to look no further than Kevin Hart.
Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to the Master of Wealth Show. This is Johnny Wimbrey, your host. I'm super excited about this episode because this is an individual that I have learned from. We've mentored each other. We've coached each other. We've probably even cried together. We've done seminars in LA, and I've seen him all over the United States from seminar to seminar. But more importantly, he is showing people how to master their wealth. So I'm super excited to have best-selling author. He hosts his own show, and you'll see me on his show as well. My good friend all the way over there in Los Angeles, California, Cory Chapman. How you living, brother?
Oh, my God, man. I'm looking forward to this one. This is going to be a lot of fun today. I hope y'all ready for this.
You know what's crazy is anybody who watches this, they're not going to know whose show this is because I want you to interview me exactly while I'm interviewing you because there's so much that you bring to the table. We got a lot of similarities in terms of, our families. You're a family man. And man, I just honor you, brother, and I respect you. You've invited me into your house on multiple occasions. You've been to my home on multiple occasions. And, there's very few people that I've aligned myself with in the last, 12 years where it's, having a relationship with you is not homework. You know what I mean? It's so natural. There's no guilt trip. There's no guilt factor. I mean, we jokingly say, you can't call her, brother. I mean, but we kind of pick up where we left off. And I've been watching you, man. I see everything that you got going on. I'm looking at you right now. And, your series exams, license, 1 through 99. But Series 6, Series 7, 63, 65, 26, 24. I'm a licensed insurance agent. I ain't got no series. So
all that means is that I got a lot of people watching me. That's all that really means. Okay?
You got hey man, listen. All the regulatory is keeping you under the belt. But I've known you for a while. How do you keep your passion so, it's something like perpetual? I don't know if that's even the right word, but I've never seen your passion die or go backwards.
Oh, man, that's a really good question. But I got to tell you, I got to imagine that a lot of it comes from, really having a solid, secure relationship with my family. It's the one thing that always grounds me, brings me back to home. It's my why that pushes me and makes me move forward. It's the thing that just centers me, right? And so, I always tell everybody it doesn't make sense to be upset, right? Because at the end of the day, there's nothing you can do about it. All you got to do is just keep moving forward. As long as you don't stop, things will always work itself out.
You know what's crazy is you just made me think about something. And he said why, W-H-Y. His why is his passion and his family. And I think that, if you're going to write down a first step, the first step is, man, be balanced and grounded with family. Meaning, listen, nothing comes before family, no opportunity. You probably heard me say this from stage, Wimbrey. I'm going to build Wimbrey before I build anything. And everything that I do build is for Wimbrey. And I started that way. And maybe that's why it's an easy concept for me to understand. But I guarantee there are people who are watching and listening right now around the world who they don't know how to balance, success, wealth, opportunity, business, whatever it is, and still keep the balance of family. I've seen you do that. I mean, you are literally the message that you bring. And when I think of Cory Chapman, I think of family before I think of success. And you're both.
I appreciate that, man. I think they kind of go hand in hand. I think you have to learn how to run hard, do what you do, and make sure you're making a difference in the world. But you got to also figure out how to I had a really good friend of mine tell me, I asked him, how do you balance everything? And he just simply said, just don't let anything fall, right? It's all about a juggling act. It's all about making sure at the end of the day that when you see something about to topple over, you catch it before it falls, right?
Man.
And I kind of think that's the way it is in life. My wife and my kids, especially my daughter, right? I tell her every time, when you need daddy time, you tell me. Like, it can't be, oh, daddy works so much. Oh, he's busy. Oh, he's that. They have got to understand truly that they are first and foremost over everything. Because without them, there is nothing else, right? So that's got to be priority.
I like how you said that, because I have daughters too, and we kind of have in the same situation. Ask me, tell me when you need daddy time. That sounds so simple, but there's so much going on just in that one sentence. Not only am I giving you authority, I'm giving you a way out and a way in at any time you have an access point. Keyword! Access. How many people in life are living at the bottom of the top? That's called average. You live at, you live at the top of the bottom. That's average. Because you're not using your access points. And I think that needs to be the first topic. You just said you giving your daughter access. This is one of the hardest things for me to deal with in terms as a coach, as a speaker, of somebody who's passionate about generational wealth, is when I see people who have incredible amounts of talent and skill, and they may have a little passion, but they don't really master their access points. You understand what I'm saying? You got access.
Yeah, I do. And I think it's interesting you said about access, because here's the thing. When you give your family that access and you give them that power to know that they come first over everything else, it makes the process just that much smoother. I mean, my daughter, like I said, when it comes time where I'm grinding and I'm looking up, and you and I both, man, we do so many little things out there. Mm-hmm. We're involved with so many different things, organizations, charities, events, and so forth, that we try to do almost everything. But it has to be a time where the people in your household have to know that they have that clout, that credibility, that conversation, that they come first over everything. And at a moment's notice, you will stop and just say, okay, what do you need? Because that's where it's got to come from. They have to know that they're first and foremost. Right. Otherwise, you can't run the way you run, right? Because then you're sitting back thinking about all the conscious efforts of things that you're doing, and you're saying, dang, did I really spend time with my daughter? Do I feel guilty because I didn't go to the daddy-daughter thing that I was supposed to do? Or, my wife wanted me to take care of this and I didn't get a chance to do that. But if they understand the way you're running, and then they also understand that they have the power to say, stop, I need you, and then you give that to them, then that makes the whole world run around, right? Things go and work perfectly because the symmetry between the two of you guys, or the family as a whole, starts to work.
To me, man, that's the trophy. I think I talk from a man's perspective. The reason I work so hard, strategically working hard, the reason that I started the process of wanting to create generational wealth in my family, and I really do have a deep desire to interrupt the generational poverty mindset that came before me. My whole reason and my entire passion is really for the next generation. I want to tee my family up. You go golfing, right? You use a tee when you're coming off the drive, and the reason the tee is there is to tee it up. I want to be the tee. I want to tee my family up for what I won't live to see, and that's my children's children's children. It's children, and I've made it a passion and a purpose in my life to tee the next generation up, and that keeps me so excited. I believe you're a master of wealth because of that balance. But let's get into kind of the nuts and bolts of what you bring to the table. First of all, why did you pursue, the industry of finance? And the reason I'm asking this because I've seen so many people become real estate agents. I've seen so many people get their license to trade stock or whatever it is, or to be a broker. And I've seen so many people, get their series license, and it's because they heard somebody else say that they're passionate about it. And they borrow somebody else's passion thinking they're going to be passionate about it as well. You have stuck to this thing since I've known you, well over a decade. What has caused you not only to stick in the financial space, but your family has all become licensed? Let's talk about that.
So, I think this is the simple part of it, right? I think if you want to be really good at something, you got to put the time in, right? And if you want to master money, like let's dive a little deeper about that. I believe that money is a living organism. I think it grows because you know what type of attention you put into it. If you don't understand how to manage money, if you don't understand how to pay things forward, if you don't understand where to invest your money at, or how to grow your money, or what interest rates are, or taxes and how they tie in together, how can you truly understand how to grow your wealth? So for me, it's always been about, I want to know more. I have a saying, you talk about, increase. That's your word, right?
Absolutely.
Mine has always been be better. So for me, it's
how
do I become better, right? I don't want to be the guy in the room that doesn't know. I want to understand when it comes to money. I truly understand all the moving and mechanisms and parts about money. And because I truly believe that if you respect money, money doesn't leave you. But when you don't respect money, and when you don't know how to kind of handle money, right, manage money, look at money, you know how to leverage money, then that's where you have the struggles of dealing with money. And so for me, that's where the passion comes from. I like the fact that money is always growing. And if you leverage it properly, you always will have money in your corner. And that's what I look for. So it's always about that for me. And I think that's where I drive the passion, because every day money is always changing. I mean, no doubt it's always changing. The reason why I started Money Talk was simply because of the fact that I believe money is involved with everything we do in life, right? And I think you can't have a decent relationship with your family without having money play a role, whether it be good, bad, or indifferent, right? Or maybe why are we not paying our bills on time? Well, that has to do with money. Well, maybe how come we didn't leverage our house, be able to generate revenue from that to be able to pay for something else to give us a better growth, right? How come I didn't buy real estate to build cash flow? All these things have to do with money. So you've got to understand it. And so Money Talk LA is all about how to create wealth and leverage money.
I remember that you brought me in to speak at one of your financial seminars, and that maybe about 8-9 years ago, I'm not sure, but it was in Los Angeles, and I came in, and I remember you, like the Be Better thing was big for you. And I believe you just had released a book at that particular time, or you were working on a pre-release. And I can honestly say that you have been in your zone. You have been in that lane. You have been very consistent and faithful to your message. And I look at that, and there's a side of me that says, man, I don't know if I could ever get that passionate about understanding financing and numbers the way that you understand it. But I could definitely see the reason why people would choose you to watch their money, to watch their investments, to keep them safe. You know, the Bible says, in the multitude of counsel, there is safety. And one of the things that I pride myself in, that I surround myself around the thinking that outthinks me. You are one of those individuals that have the thinking that outthinks most people, because let me tell you what I don't want to do is babysit my money. But I want to find somebody like you who takes joy in it. Like calling me up and saying, hey man, go look at your 10% increase. And I can see the look on your face. Like you get excited about that report with your clients. How did you get started in this? Let's go back to little Cory. Like there has to be something that connects. Like I know why I chose entrepreneurialism. I know why I hustle so hard. I can connect it back to a pain, to a desire, to lack, to fear. And I use fear as motivation. I use fear as a healthy ingredient, not, an unhealthy ingredient. Fear drives me. I'm afraid to go back to the battered women's shelter. I'm afraid to go to prison like my brother. I'm afraid of my past. I don't deny it, but I'm afraid to go back to it, and that's my motivator. I literally believe that I've done hundreds of millions of dollars in business on a global scale because I learned how to use fear as a leverage. What happened, Cory? Like, how did you get to, I do believe you're a master of wealth, but take us back. How did you get here? What happened?
Very similar to what you just said, man. I grew up in a house where I was the oldest of three. My mom raised three kids, and we grew up between, New York, South Bronx in New York to Los Angeles, right? And in that process...
Hold on, where in LA?
So LA was, South Central LA.
Hold on. I want people to get the visual. That's why I'm doing this. You left the Bronx. And your mama said, we're moving on up to the west side.
Right.
South Central Los Angeles. And if I'm a guess right, you were probably in high school in the 80s, right?
Yes. So
Do y'all know what was going on in South Central LA in the 80s?
Well, you know what was funny, man? My mom she was fortunate enough, she gave me an opportunity, right? So living in New York, I was doing all the stuff, trying to hang out with the right people and the wrong people and everything in between, and my mom gave me an opportunity to go to Los Angeles and stay with some friends and family, right? But when I got here, it was harder than I thought because my mom was trying to make ends meet at home and she couldn't really send money here, right? I remember, man, I was sitting on Century Boulevard at age 15, slinging flowers on the corner, making money at 12 o'clock at night and still trying to go to high school. That's just
that hustle,
where it started, man. I had to hustle. I had to make sure money was coming in. And I laugh when people see me today and they think that, this was, given to me. I'm like, I worked. Okay. Let me say it again. I worked for everything.
Nah, brother. Ain't nothing given.
So, that started the journey for me, at that point in time. And then I was fortunate enough, and I think this is really a big part of what you and I think we are very similar in. We had somebody and started talking to people who gave us insight that there was better out there. Yeah. And I think that's the challenge, right? I think most people, I was listening to an article the other day and it was really simple. It was the podcast or YouTube channel of P. Diddy and Ray Dalio. They were talking about, P. Diddy was saying that Ray Dalio was his mentor, and he was asking some questions and talking about things that he should do, kind of talking about his book called Principles, man. I started reading it. So
dope.
Cool book. Pretty thick book, but it's a cool book. But anyway, what was interesting about it was he said something in the interview that just stopped me in my tracks and started thinking, right? Yeah. And what was said was Ray was talking about how he got started in the financial world. And when he started talking about it, he said he was young, between 12 and 13 years old, right? And, he was caddying at a golf course for some of the top people that were around, right? And they were talking about finance and money and Wall Street and stocks and bonds and all this good stuff, right? And I sat there and I thought to myself, what a difference in upbringing. Like, what a difference in thought process. Because I don't know anybody that looks like me that's on a golf course hearing about Wall Street, hearing about money, hearing about how to invest. And, when I paused for that moment, it really resonated with me. Like, how do we make a difference for our people to see different ideal of what success should be? And how do they get that insight, that concept to where someone tells them there's more out there and you just need to dream better? Because if you don't know what to dream, you can't dream for something if you don't know what is out there. And I think that was a big part of my process because when I was coming up, I did have someone who kind of took me by the wing and said, hey, let me show you what to do. I got into life insurance and I was a young agent. Yeah. And I was the only black in the office and I was the youngest in the office. And I was like, I'm just going to outwork everybody. That's how I thought, I'm like, simple. And I remember laughing because my first year in the industry, I made, a high six figures. And I was like, what the heck?
Wow.
$180,000? And this is legal? I was like, what's going on? I was excited. And but what was interesting, it was hard work. I was knocking on doors at 9 o'clock at night, trying to get people to buy life insurance, universal life, it can help you. And through that process, I basically raised the eyebrow of one of the managing partners there. And he said, you've done a good job. Well, let me show you how to really make real money. And I remember him taking me out to Braemar Country Club. And in a matter of 9 holes, he picked up a check for $500,000 and put it into an insurance policy that made his premium almost $300,000 in one afternoon. And I sat there and thought, okay, I'm doing something wrong, but I am not worthy, but teach me, and I got into that conversation. And from that point on, man, I learned that it's about emulating the people who have what you want and ask the questions so you can get better. Because you cannot be the smartest person in your own group. You got to decide to go outside of your group so you're the dumbest person so you can learn from what's out there. Yeah. I think that was the biggest point for me. And that's what drove me, man. And I think, honestly, it's just been constantly trying to learn and make up more insight and learn more from other people to try to become better, right? Back to my philosophy, be better, right? And that's where it came. So,
and that's, I mean, that some people will say that sounds so super simple, be better. But if you subscribe to those words every day for years, like my word is increase. Sounds so simple, but I subscribe to that word like every day. I wake up like a sniper looking for increase. And I'm literally like looking, where is it? Where is it? Every day, all day. Doesn't mean I'm better or it doesn't even mean I'm the best. It just means I'm on the hunt. These are the kind of stories that I like, Cory. When people, like you're breaking it down, you went from selling flowers on the side of the streets. I was selling something else on the side of the street. Wish I knew about flowers. I was selling candy when I was in elementary. But you just don't know what you don't know, right? You meet this guy. You said you raised his eyebrow. If people would just stop right there and made that their mission, get important people to notice you by being authentic with who you are and what you bring to the table. All you said was, I'm a hustler. Number one thing that I see people, especially, from, people like us, we come from the streets. We don't have a silver spoon. I mean, probably didn't even have a dirty spoon. Come on. Yeah, right. And, people look at us and they wonder the how. How did you go from the rags to riches, or, from poverty to prosperity? Listen, man, I didn't lose my fight. I changed my life. I didn't lose my fight. I took risks. You standing on the corner selling flowers is a risk because you got cash in your pocket. And anybody who's out there looking for cash, you see somebody selling something on the corner, obviously they're going to have loose cash in their pocket. Most people don't think about that. That is a risk. It is a risk. You can't leave your hustle and go to the real world, become a licensed agent, and lose your ability to fight and take risks. The only reason that I've been able to make millions, I would trace it back to the fact I'm a risk taker. I take risk. I'm calculated, but I take risk. But like what you just said really, really impresses me, because I feel like I've raised a lot of eyebrows. Right place, right time, caught the right person's attention, and I was invited to a table that I never invited myself to sit at. I earned it.
So look, Johnny, I wanna dive and ask you a couple of quick questions since we're going back and forth.
Let's get it.
So, I know your story, right? And I know you talk about it in your book and talk about some of the things you had to do to kind of make it where it's at. And I believe, really, we're both hustlers. Like, at the end of the day, we've only known one thing: how to go out and get it. It wasn't something that someone gave us. It wasn't something that we had to, we had to go have someone just hand it over to us. We went to go work for it.
Yeah.
What would be the number one thing if you had someone coming up, right? And you said to them, if I could give you one piece of advice, just one, right? This would make all the difference in the world. What would that be for you?
Depending on what industry they're looking to be in, I would say find somebody who absolutely has the lifestyle that you desire today. And the key word is today, because you may pass that person up in the next years, in the next decade. So find somebody today that has a lifestyle that you desire. And here's the key. If you trust them, and if they have your best interest in heart, here's what I would tell you. Do exactly what they say until it makes sense.
I like that. So do exactly as they say until it makes sense. So
here's why. Because if you're where I want to be, and you say, Johnny, I need you to make 10 appointments a day. And if I say why, or if I want to, that means I don't trust you. So I want to follow somebody who has the lifestyle that I desire. However, I have to trust them, which means sometimes why and how is none of my business. If you're my coach and you give me an audible, what's an audible? If I'm taking the ball up to the hoop, right? I'm taking the ball up to the hoop, and the zone is open, and I'm going in, and the coach from the side says, pass the ball. It's not my team. I may have a 100% guaranteed shot ahead of me, but I got to trust that coach so much that he sees something I don't see. I'm in the game. He's on the outside looking in. It's his job to protect me or her job to protect me. So if they call an audible and they say pass the ball, even though I see the shot, I got to trust this coach so much that I swallow my agenda, put my personal agenda to the side, and pass the ball to my teammate. That's an audible. I got to find people in my life that I would follow wholeheartedly even when I don't understand. I don't have time to say, hey, time out. Why did you say pass the ball? What did you say that I didn't see? No, that's not success. Success is not finding out in the now. Success is following people who have a passion and desire to protect you because they see what you don't see. So do exactly what you're told to do until it makes sense.
So simply put, to quote our famous friend Les, you can't see the picture when you're in the
frame. 100%. I got a question for you if you don't mind. Okay, can I switch it? Can I take this one? Because I know we're on your show, you're on my show, we're having a lot of fun. I want to talk about money talk. Tell me a little bit about, my show is called Masters of Wealth. Yours is Money Talk. Break it down to me like I'm 5 years old.
Sure. So to me, money talk is really simply this. Being in a room to hear from individuals who have had success and who have figured out a way to create wealth, but not only just wealth, how to create balance amongst money. They understand how money works. They get the concepts of money. They understand at the end of the day that whatever their grind is, whatever that job they're trying to make happen, whatever that entrepreneur business model that they're going to follow, they figured out a way to make it all work and put it in place. I believe that money falls into every aspect of anything that you do.
Yep.
And so when I decided to do Money Talk, it was like, you know what? I know I can call up my good friend JW over there and say, hey, tell us how you made multis of millions of dollars and help people all over the country, to kind of become successful.
Yeah.
I think there's many different ways to create wealth, right? But unfortunately, not everybody has access, as you said earlier, right? Has access to be able to sit on like a fly on the wall and listen to these types of conversation on how to make things happen. And so for me, I'm fortunate enough to have some really good friends, some good colleagues and people that I've learned and got to meet over the years in this game. Mm-hmm. And I want to be able to just get them on the phone, talk like we're talking right now, and see if they share some insights so that the next cat that's coming up is listening to this story and says, I could do that. I see something out there that I can learn from that. And let me find another way to make it happen. So that's what Money Talk is all about.
You know why I love that? Because everything that you just said is, I want to serve. I want to serve. I want to serve. I want to serve. And when I find people, I don't care what industry you're in, when I find people who are maximizing their industry because they love to serve, they'll never have burnout. And I've never seen you burnt out. And it's it's got to be attached to the passion and the fact that you care. And we've all heard it. People don't care how much you know until they know how much you care. And you care. You brought your kids. Now, let's talk about that. So your sons, both of your sons are licensed?
So my oldest son is licensed. Well, both my sons are insurance licensed. My oldest son is working on getting his Series 65 license and some of the series licenses. He should be taking a test at the end of this month, so we'll see how that all plays out. But yeah, and they're all in the game. And my wife's licensed, so she's got her insurance license as well. And it's like a family business, man. I
love it.
I want to be able to pass that on generational wealth, right? And one thing I've learned is that the beauty of the financial services industry, you can truly create a dynasty, right? And start to build and at the same time serve people like you just talked about, right?
Yeah.
And imagine seeing someone who has worked 30, 40, 50 years and now they're trying to retire and their life savings, they got to go find somebody who they trust, who they give this money to and give access to. And they got to find the person who's going to look out for their best interests and not be like one of these other guys out there that's looking out for their own selves.
Yeah.
I feel like this is where we come into play, right? We are here to help make a difference for our clients, but make sure not only do they get to retirement, but they get through retirement, right? Mm-hmm. Retirement is the end all be all for some people, right?
Yeah.
And I think that's where it plays a role. So for us, we call them as being a part of the family, and our goal is to try to make them feel like they're part of this family. And if They see the family environment when they walk into the door and notice that, it is a big, extension of their family. We're co-creating together. It just works. So it's been going extremely well. One of the things that I'm excited about right now, man, is like we're kind of transitioning a little bit right now where we're getting more into the part that I'm passionate about, which is the teaching and the coaching side and speaking about money and talking about wealth and stuff like that, which I love doing. So on those stages and talking, it's just been a lot of fun because there's 25 years experience that I got right now, man. I've been doing this for a minute.
So, and that's a good point. I want people to know how to get in touch with you from my show, our followers and things like that. But before I ask you that question, you got somebody who's watching right now in Miami, right? You're in Los Angeles, California. Is that somebody that you would coach from a distance, or is that somebody that you can actually take on as a client?
Both. So, we're licensed in pretty much almost every state, right? And any state that we're not licensed is just simple as filling out a piece of paper, right?
Yeah.
So from a standpoint of gathering assets and taking on those assets, we can totally do that. From a coaching standpoint, definitely we can do that as well. I mean, the beauty of today's age, we live in technology. Here we are. I'm in Los Angeles. You're in Texas, and we got full-on insight and communication going on. And exactly how I do most of my conversations with my clients. We're sitting there talking. They get to see my inflections in my face and my voice and everything else. And so it's the same conversation that you were sitting right across the table from me. So, that's the beauty of this.
I love, man, what's crazy is, as a licensed insurance agent, I've been licensed I just renewed my license 3 days ago because it's every 2 years in Texas. I'm non-practicing, but it took me 3 times to get my one health insurance and life insurance, health and life. 3 times, brother. 3 times. I was 20 years old. 3 times I finally got it. And I never thought you can do insurance and financial advising through technology. Because in my days, bruh, we walk into the office, they put a stack of leads and they start dialing. Not to sit, listen, just to set appointments. So my Mondays from I'd say like 9 to 1 p.m., 9 a.m. to 1 p.m. was nothing but me setting appointments for my week. And I was really good on the phone setting appointments. But I never thought to myself, you could do this like this now. That's crazy.
That's amazing, man. Like, I got to ask you a question now. So here's a question I want to know. I was listening to another interview, and it was with Kevin Hart. He had made a conversation. He talked about branding, right? He said that he knows he's a comedian. He knows he's funny, right? But that wouldn't make him $1 billion, right? Mm-hmm. How important is it to build a brand? First question. And then secondly, how do you expose that brand so you get more people to know who you are so it becomes a household name, from your standpoint?
Yeah. To me, Kevin Hart he's a literal freak of nature. Like he's in a league of his own. He has this energy, man, that he's 10 steps ahead of anything that you can call his competition. Like, think about that. Like, who's Kevin Hart's competition? I don't know who they are. They haven't showed up yet, but he knows they're coming. So what he does is he creates this brand and he masters the brand. So I would love to have a team that brands me the way he is branded. But the truth is, he's the team. So having your brand is incredibly important because you've got to create your own shelf space. Like, to me, your brand, Cory, is the fact that your children are already following your lead without you forcing them or dragging them into an industry. That means that they sat back and watched you for years and said, I love what Daddy does. I want to do that for people. That's your brand. You create your brand by being the message that you bring. You create your brand by being authentic to your, whatever your call or whatever your mission is. I learned this a couple years ago. I was in Los Angeles negotiating another television show that last television show that I was negotiating, P. Diddy's show, The Four, came and I was this close and they put all their attention on that show. But the point is, the key word in that industry right now is organic. If you want to create a brand, be organic to who you say you want to be. The reason I'm doing this show is because I want to be seen organically making impact in individuals' lives that's not attached to a check. It's not attached to a commission. None of you watching this right now are going to send me a check because you saw this. And I'm not saying you won't send me a check because you won't buy any of my products or services. I'm saying I'm not getting paid to do this, but I'm organically being seen in my passion of wanting to help people. So your brand is incredible. But what you really have to understand is you got to be organic to your brand. Don't be telling me that you're passionate about teaching people the importance of being a vegan, and they got a picture of you at McDonald's, eating a Big Mac. You're not organic to your brand.
Right. Come on now. So, man, I got to tell you, what's next for Johnny, man? You talked about TV shows, you talked about real estate transactions, speaking world, that kind of thing. A new book probably coming, I'm sure, on the horizon.
Working on a new book right now.
Yeah. So what's next, man?
I'm in my season right now of helping other people elevate their brand. I really want to help elevate individuals who have a brand, and I want to elevate them to my audience. And the reason I want to do that is that's what Les Brown did for me. Les Brown basically, at some point, I earned enough respect from him where he said, here's my microphone, show me what you got. Now, you got to understand, that's a 30-year-old microphone he handed me. Today it's 40, 50 years old. He handed me a microphone that he built for 30 years. But I had to earn that trust. Basically, all he's saying is, I want the world to know who you are. So I'm working on collaboration books. Right now, I'm on the hunt looking for people who have breakthrough stories because I want to take their story to the world. Helping people become a published author is helping them establish their brand. So that is something I'm really high on right now. I think about American Idol. I think about the X Factor, The Voice. Those are platforms where people are being elevated because these giants who have this following of millions and millions of people, these networks who have these following of millions of people, basically said, hey, her name is Fantasia. Show us what you got. Her name is Kelly Clarkson. Show us what you got. I want to do that. I want to say, hey, this is the next young and up-and-coming Les Brown. Let me show you what he has. Let me show you what she has. I don't know where I'm going to be 5 years from now, but that's where I am right now. Right now, I want to help people elevate their brand the same way Les Brown did with me. And how about you? Let me return this question on. You have accomplished a lot. You have a lot of titles under your belt. You can't take those titles with you. What's next for you, Cory?
Very similar to what you're saying, man. I'm looking right now to find a protege to learn how to give that insight, man. I think, my sons, I've definitely been super impressed with them. My oldest has just surpassed anything I could ever think of when it comes to age, and he's already, into trading and stocks. And my 19-year-old, right? So I believe that we've done a really good job of bringing our children up the way we want to bring them up. I think now it's about me trying to figure out a way, how do I get on a bigger stage? How do I get on a bigger platform? How do I tell more people about how to create wealth and money habits and, finding how to deal with, the world of finance, because I believe it's something that you must know. And I think the fact that we don't teach it to our kids and to, people in college until later on in college, is something that must be on a day-to-day basis, right? So I got to figure out a way how to get on a bigger stage, a bigger platform to talk about money and how to create wealth. So that's where my focus is.
Well, I love that, man. I want to be a part of that. I want to share stages with you across the United States. Let me know when you got something going on in LA again, man. I would love, I mean that genuinely, because I remember the first time I came in a part of one of your workshops. I just remember the room. I remember the hunger. I remember the passion. And I remember, how people felt afterwards. And that's really important to me, that people feel like, when's the next one? And that's important. So I want to be a part of that, brother. Let me know how I can serve. And obviously, I'll do the exact same thing with you, man. I am honored to have you on my show. And I'm definitely honored to be a part of your show. This is the Masters of Wealth with Johnny Wimbrey, my good friend. And when I say good friend, that's not a cliche. That's not even a compliment. That is the truth. It's a good friend for over a decade. I've watched this guy pour his heart into people. And you may be thinking like, will he work with me? I know Cory. He will. I've seen him work with people at the top, and I've seen him work with people at the bottom who want to get to the top. All you got to do is want it. All you have to do is have a passion to have increase, to become better, to be better. You got to contact him. Cory Chapman, man, it's an honor and a pleasure. I'm going to tag this thing everywhere. I'll tag you. I'll tag all of your social medias, your website on our show. But it's an honor and pleasure. Thank you so much for being on the Master of Wealth. It's my time to give the official seal of approval. Cory Chapman, you are a master of wealth, brother. I'm honored to have you on the show.
Thanks for listening to Masters of Wealth. To find out more about Cory, follow him on Facebook at facebook.com/EFC Wealth, or check out his podcast, Money Talk with Cory, on your favorite podcasting platform. To learn more about Johnny, check out his Instagram at Wimbrey, and follow him on Facebook at facebook.com/Johnny Wimbrey. And to hear more episodes of Masters of Wealth, subscribe to the show on your favorite podcasting platform so that you can be the first to hear new episodes every single week. Thanks for listening, and we'll see you next time.